There is a place where time does not move in the same way, where silence has weight, and where every preserved page carries the power to transform what we believe to be true. Within the oldest walls in the world, beneath vaults that have witnessed empires rise and fall, rests a collection that spans millennia. The Vatican Apostolic Library. Millions of manuscripts, documents that have never seen the light of day, texts written in languages that died along with entire civilizations. Some say that within its walls lie the answers to questions humanity has not yet dared to ask. Others claim that certain books should never be read. But there is a question we must ask now before moving forward. Does the Vatican hide dangerous truths, or is the danger within ourselves, because we never learned how to look? This is not a library like any other. You cannot enter freely. You cannot flip through a book out of curiosity. You cannot even touch the pages without rare permissions, granted only to scholars of absolute trust. Why? Because what lies there is not just books. They are records spanning 2,000 years of Christianity, letters written by emperors, accounts of councils that shaped the fate of nations, theological treatises that molded Western thought, and alongside all this, something more: fragments, apocryphal texts, gospels the church chose not to include in the official Bible, correspondence between popes and kings about matters that, to this day, have not been fully revealed. Many of these documents are written in medieval Latin, Byzantine Greek, ancient Aramaic, languages that require years of dedication just to be deciphered. And even when someone manages to read them, there is still the context, the history behind the words, invisible symbols, the lines between the lines that only make sense to those who know the secrets of that time. This means there are documents that are physically accessible, but intellectually sealed, protected not by locks, but by ignorance. And perhaps that is exactly how certain secrets remain untouched for centuries. When something is not shown to us, the human mind fills the void. And in the dark, it always sees monsters. That is why so many legends were born. They say the Vatican hides gospels that contradict the divinity of Christ, that there are letters revealing pacts between the church and forces it was meant to oppose, that there is proof that holy figures committed unforgivable acts. But is that true? Or is the truth even more disturbing? Because history shows us something curious. When sensitive documents finally come to light, nothing happens. Think of Galileo. For centuries, the records of his trial remained restricted until they were published. They revealed serious errors by the church. They showed the unjust persecution of a brilliant man. And what happened? The church apologized, reinterpreted its position, and continued to exist. The same with Giordano Bruno, with the records of the Inquisition, with papal letters that today seem inconceivable to us. Everything came to light, and the faith of millions remained intact. Because ancient religions do not survive by being unchangeable, they survive because they know how to transform. They reinterpret, they absorb, they recontextualize what once seemed definitive. There is an ancient example that illustrates this perfectly. In the 19th century, archaeologists unearthed clay tablets in Mesopotamia. There was the Epic of Gilgamesh, written 1,000 years before the oldest biblical texts, and within it, a familiar story: a flood sent by the gods, a man warned to build an ark, animals saved in pairs, a bird released to test whether the waters had receded, a sacrifice at the end. The similarity to the story of Noah is impossible to deny. That could have destroyed the credibility of the Bible, but it did not. Theologians began to speak of humanity's collective memory, of universal archetypes, of traditions that preserve spiritual truths across different cultures. And many believers simply did not care. Because faith is not built solely on historical facts. It is built on personal experience, on belonging, on meaning. And this leads us to an unsettling reflection. Imagine that tomorrow an authentic manuscript is discovered, dated to the 1st century, written by eyewitnesses, claiming that Jesus had children, that his lineage continued in secret, that there are living descendants today. Do you think this would end Christianity? Or would these texts be questioned, analyzed, debated, and eventually absorbed into a new interpretation? History suggests the second scenario is more likely, because explosive secrets only explode when they find ground willing to burn. And perhaps we are not willing, If you've made it this far, you've realized this is not a common video. We are crossing layers of interpretation that few dare to explore. And if this resonates with you, write the word revelation in the comments. It is the code of those who chose to go deeper. And if you are not yet subscribed to the Sacred Roots channel, this is the moment. Because from here on, the paths grow even darker. Let us return. Here is an uncomfortable truth. For something to remain unknown, it does not need to be hidden. It only needs to be complex or inconvenient. Think about it. How many people have access to the Dead Sea Scrolls? Everyone. They are available online, translated, commented on. How many people have actually read them? Few. Why? Because reading requires time. It requires intellectual effort. It requires a willingness to confront what comforts us. And most of us prefer not to know. We prefer to believe that there are secrets locked away in Vatican vaults, because that relieves us of the responsibility to search. If it is hidden, we cannot reach it. If it is available, then ignorance is our choice. And that is a truth that hurts far more. The Vatican Library exists. It holds real mysteries. But the greatest mystery is not inside. It is outside, in how we deal with what challenges our certainties, in how we choose to believe, or doubt, or simply not look. Are there documents that will never be revealed? Probably. Extremely sensitive correspondence, private papal confessions, accounts of political negotiations that still echo in the present. But this is not exclusive to the Vatican. All major powers in the world have secret archives. Governments, corporations, scientific institutions. The difference is that when it comes to the church, the symbolic weight is greater. Because there is not only political power, there is the sacred. And when the sacred meets the secret, myth is born. But perhaps the true secret is this. The Vatican does not guard forbidden books to keep us from knowing. It guards complex books, which we ourselves choose not to understand. Because understanding requires renunciation. Renunciation of certainty. Renunciation of comfort. Renunciation of the simplified version of truth we were taught since childhood. And few are willing to do that. The Vatican Apostolic Library remains silent, immense, guarding both what has already been deciphered and what still awaits prepared eyes. It is not a vault of conspiracies. It is a mirror. It reflects our relationship with knowledge, with faith, with the fear of discovering that what we have always believed may not be the whole truth, but also may not be the whole lie. And the final question is not about what is hidden among those ancient pages. The question is, if you had unrestricted access to all the Vatican's secret documents, would you truly have the courage to read them? Or would you prefer they remain exactly where they are? If this video made you question, subscribe to the Sacred Roots channel. Leave your like. Share it with those who also seek beyond the visible. And answer in the comments. Do you believe the greatest secret in the world is hidden or simply ignored? Because some mysteries do not require keys. They require only the courage to cross.